Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder is the co-main event of a pay-per-view. Yes, I'm serious. It's the co-main event of a fucking pay-per-view. But it's a great fight nevertheless, okay? More of a fight night main event or co-main event, but it's a good fight, alright? It's a real good fight, and we're going to break it down and give our predictions. I think Paul Felder takes it home by TKO viciously in the second or third round, okay? I like Edson Barboza. I think he's a great fighter. I feel like I have to say this all the time that I predict against someone. I feel like since the last time they fought, obviously Edson Barboza got the better of Paul Felder by unanimous decision before. There was a groin shot that Paul Felder seemed to say affected his game. I don't think it affected his game to make him lose. I think he would have lost regardless because, you know, it seems to be what happens. But he was doing well in that fight. It was competitive. However, Edson Barboza gets a unanimous decision win. I saw enough in that fight to think that maybe in a rematch down the line, Paul Felder would get the better of Edson Barboza. Okay? He seemed to have the right idea. You know, checking some leg kicks. He did take his licks. But, you know, he was doing well. He was competitive. And back then, Edson Barboza was a bit more of a beast than he is now. Right now, Edson Barboza is just kind of clinging on. And when you look in the time from their last fight until now, what's happened? Barboza's been damaged maybe 5 times as much as Paul Felder has. Okay? I mean, you're talking the Khabib fight. He just got KO'd by Justin Gaethje. He got fucked up by Tony Ferguson. I'm sure there's another loss in there somewhere. Fucked up by Kevin Lee. Maybe worse than Khabib did to him. Like, Khabib damaged him a lot, but Kevin Lee fucked up fucking Edson Barboza. Justin Gaethje obviously KO'd him, as I said. Tony Ferguson did fucking work on him. I mean, I feel like the damage that Edson Barboza's taken since the fight is just going to mean something here in terms of... I mean, Edson Barboza's been KO'd 4 times in his career. 3 times in his career, okay? Paul Felder's been TKO'd once, and that was a doctor stoppage. I just feel like damage-wise and career-wise and longevity-wise, Edson Barboza is kind of going a bit downhill, and I think Paul Felder, even though he's 34 years old, which surprises me because I actually thought he'd be a little bit younger than that. His career seems to be going well for him right now. Yes, he did have the close win against James Vick, but he fractured his rib and punctured his lung. So, in the middle of that fight. So I feel like we can give him some kind of slack there. He still beat James Vick quite convincingly, you know? Even though it was a little bit competitive. Either way, I feel like he KOs Edson Barboza. I think Edson Barboza returning to action before... I don't understand this, man. Mark Henry is Edson Barboza's coach, right? I don't fucking get dumb fucks as coaches that allow their fighters to do this. Edson Barboza is an aging fighter. He got given a fight of the night bonus. He's not like he's struggling for money. He got an extra 50 grand on his last fight, so the loss bonus didn't hurt that much. You know what I'm saying? He got KO'd stiff. And he's returning to action before the guy who KO'd him. How does that make any sense? I don't understand. Fucking... It's like coaches are just... Some coaches, I swear to God, they don't have their fighters' best interests at heart. Because they turn them around so quickly. Like, get back in there, I have bills to pay. And you're paying my bills, so we need you to fight again. No, you're good. Trust me, your chin's good. It's just stupidity. I don't understand it. I feel like that's going to be a key factor in this. I don't think Edson Barboza's chin is going to be the same. I think Paul Felder's going to wobble him and hurt him bad. And then TKO him on the ground in the second round, I'd say. I think Paul Felder gets it done. He's bigger. Even though Edson Barboza's a little bit taller, Paul Felder's for sure bigger than him. And when you look at Paul Felder since their last fight, he's had a pretty good run of things, really. I mean, he loses to Edson Barboza, gets a split decision loss to Ross Pearson, which arguably could have went to him. Beats Darren Cruikshank, beats Joshua Berkman, relative no-names, understandable. Loses by doctor stoppage to Francisco Trinaldo, which, I mean, doesn't really mean much. You know what I'm saying? It's not really his losses are understandable. Edson Barboza's been getting murked in his losses coming up to this rematch. Paul Felder's lost 2 split decisions, one to Mike Perry, which... arguably he won, and he broke his arm in that fight and still went to a split decision. A split decision to Ross Pearson, which arguably he won, and then a doctor stoppage. It's just looking so good for Paul Felder. And then since coming back after the Trinaldo fight, I mean, Alexander Ricky Good fight. Stephen Ray, that's a good win. KO'd him in Scotland. If you remember that fight night, I don't even know where that was. Fight night, it was Gunnar Nelson versus Ponzinibbio. But I can't remember what the name of it was. Fight night Belfast. Fuck it, just correct me. Charles Oliveira deals with him, and his win gets better over time because Charles Oliveira has shown that he's still in the damn thing and now has rose back up the rankings again. Loses a split decision to Mike Perry on short notice, and then beats up James Vick. I feel like Paul Felder gets this one done, and it's pretty obvious to me. There's only a few fights where the rematch, you can easily see it going the other way. I think Paul Felder does him in. Leans on him, puts his size on him. Edson Barboza doesn't like fighting going backwards because he's a kicker and he kicks not traditionally. I mean, he throws his kicks, don't worry, but he does a lot of technical kicks like a switch kick, a wheel kick, a spinning back kick. Like all of these stuff takes space to create a move out of. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not like he's just throwing round kicks over and over again and traditional leg kicks. He does switches and all of that needs time and space. And I think Paul Felder's game plan here is going to be to come straight forward, put his size on Edson Barboza, and crack him in the clinch with elbows, and maybe wrestle him a little bit. You know, I feel like a lot of these strikers right now, they're too okay to strike. Listen, if you see someone is having trouble against grapplers in Kevin Lee and Khabib, try your own takedown. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why people have their styles and they stick to it, and that's the only thing they do. It's so limited. I feel like Paul Felder should come in here, back Edson Barboza up against the cage, find the clinch, maybe shoot a takedown. If you're a kicker and someone shot a takedown against you, it's a nightmare. You're second guessing every single kick you throw, especially leg kicks, which Edson Barboza is going to try and employ here. Okay? I think Paul Felder gets it done. I think he bullies him around and eventually TKOs him in the second round. And then I'd like to see Edson Barboza retire. He's done everything he needs to do. He's had a great career. And if he loses this, what's the point? What's the point? You could just go to Bellator. Like, I feel like when there's guys, they've been at the top and they've never got the belt, but they keep losing and slowly going down, and they win one and they're like, I'm back, and then they lose again. I think it's just a sign that maybe you don't belong in the top of the division anymore. I think Paul Felder gets him out of there and then maybe faces... I don't know. I don't think they'll give Paul Felder any favours here. Maybe they gave Paul Felder the winner of Dan Hooker versus... Yes, there we go. Done. That's a perfect game plan. Paul Felder, Edson Barboza at UFC 242 co-main event. You've got... So the winner of those two will fight the winner of Dan Hooker versus Ally Quinta, which is the co-main event of UFC 243. Right next to each other. Similar timelines. Perfect opponents. Then you've got a few guys that are kind of left out, like... I mean, Gaethje and Cerrone's fight's happening, so I guess we'll see how that goes. But I think it should be the winner of Barboza versus Felder takes on the winner of Dan Hooker versus Ally Quinta. And then the winner of that one will get one of the top dogs. Or, depending on how things go, they're not getting a title shot. Listen, if you're not Conor McGregor, Tony Ferguson, or Khabib, you're not getting title shots. Khabib already has a title, but let's say he loses it, which I think he does. It's going to take a lot in that lightweight division. You're going to have to make some fucking noise and knock off a bunch of contenders if you really want to get your title shot. Because, listen, if I hear Paul Felder or if I hear Dan Hooker or Ally Quinta calling for title shots after their fight, you just ain't getting them. You know what I'm saying? Right now, all of these fights that are happening at the top should be calling out one man, Conor McGregor, and not even saying that they want to fight him, just shit talking him. Conor McGregor has been putting out bait for the longest time. Every time someone wins a fight, Chael Sonnen did a video on this, but he didn't explain it like I'm about to. Every time McGregor sees someone win that's a potential opponent, he takes a little jab, and then he sees how they react. What he's doing is he's seeing how much money he's going to make off of them. How are they going to react? Frank Edgar coming out and going, yeah, I'd love to fight you, man. It'd be an honour, whatever weight class you want. That's a bitch move. That's not what Conor wants. Conor wants someone he can shit talk with. Okay? A big hyped fight so he can prove to the UFC, look, this guy's going to talk shit with me and I'm going to make you guys a lot of money out of it. So let's make it happen. Then he gives it to Max Holloway and Holloway kind of shrugs him off and doesn't really mention him too much, which is a good move, in my opinion. Nate Diaz doesn't call him out after their fight, after Conor takes a jab at him. Conor takes a jab at Donald Cerrone. Donald Cerrone says, yeah, I'd love to fight. Let's make some money, man. That's not what he wants. Conor McGregor needs to take a jab at someone, and then they, in their Octagon interview, need to call him a bitch and say he's not going to come back, so there's no point even wasting breath saying his name. He's scared. Just do some fucking dumb shit, talk shit, so we can get Conor back in there. That's their only hope. And I think, who knows, Paul Felder might be the next opponent, but I think it'll be the Gaethje versus Cerrone winner. They need to really grab this thing by the balls. Someone needs to secure that McGregor fight, because if you win that, that's a title shot. See you later. Thanks for watching. Paul Felder by second round TKO. Click that there. Goodbye.